Welcome back. You are now watching video 10 and the continuation of this video presentation titled Ignorance of White and Black Supremacy, exposing my video, my series of video presentations called The Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell. And thanks very much again for joining me and for being with me this far. Again, if you did not watch the previous videos from 1 to 9, in that order, I suggest that you do so that you can get a better understanding of my presentation, which is my objective, so that you can understand. In this segment, I will do a bit of what I called a sentence evaluation, and also speak a little on communication as I seek to expose the ignorance of white and black supremacy, which is the main topic of this presentation. I will also ask that you please bear in mind that from my perspective, the three most important elements in human to human communications, regardless of language or method of communication used, are intent or intention, meaning, and interpretation. These are the three most important elements in human to human communication: intention or intent, meaning, and interpretation. Let me briefly explain what is meant by this for those of you that might not quite understand what I'm talking about. First, intent, an adjective, and intention, the noun. By intention, I mean that which is in the tent. That is that which is in the house, the ultimate dwelling place and private place of the speaker. So, what tent, house, or dwelling place am I talking about here? The tent, house, or dwelling place here is the invisible mind, the invisible seat of awareness or consciousness of the speaker. Here we can see that the speaker is the originator and the creator of intention, or of all that which is in his tent. This, from my perspective, is where everything begins and ends, in the tent, or if you prefer, in the mind. All creation begins and ends in the mind, or in your mind. This is where that which we called ideas are generated, are germinated, and grows into that which we call thoughts, and thoughts that form images and pictures that we end up, that we and others eventually see. To give you another practical example of what I am talking about, and especially for those of you that are Bible students and truth seekers, according to the ancient writings, some of which are translated into the Christian Holy Bible, we read that God spake and it was done, he commanded and it stood fast. From my perspective, this is telling I, the mystic philosopher, that the God here spoke from his mind, therefore bringing into this reality that which was already pre-existing in his mind, in his tent or intention. This is just another example of the power of the spoken words. Here we can see that things have to be first created in our minds, and then it is the spoken words that bring them into reality. In fact, we have to first see it, or see them, meaning our creations, in our minds, before it or they can be made known in this reality, or before anyone else can see it or them. Another name for these images, pictures, and thoughts are our aim, our purpose, our plans, etc. These are all names for the images that are in our mind: purpose, names, plans, etc. For example, If you want to hurt someone, you would have to first think of how you would like to see that someone after you have hurt them. You have to first create the image of what you want that person to feel or to become after you have hurt them. The same is true if you want to help someone or if you want to make someone feel good. If you want to help someone feel and experience more love, then you will have to think of how you would like to see that someone after you have helped them, after you have shared and transmitted love vibrations, etc., to them. And the same principle applies in blessing or cursing someone. Therefore, the image or the picture that is formed within your tent or within your mind is also called information or formation within. And just like a computer, just like in computer technology and computer to computer network communications, the purpose of human to human communication is to transfer information from one mind to the next. And the most common method of doing that is language and the spoken word. Now, just a word of caution for those of you that might be thinking of hurting someone. For whatever reasons you are, or for whatever your reasons might be, those of you who are dabbling or might be thinking about dabbling or getting involved in the black arts, the evil arts that some call witchcraft, black magic, obeah, etc. Those of you that are messing with the spirit and the memory of the dead and is attempted and in an attempt to intentionally hurt people, those of you that are praying to your God or gods to harm and to bring evil upon people, those of you that are reading the Psalms with intent to invoke God's wrath and vengeance upon people, especially innocent people, people that may have done you no harm, people that might not be posing any threat to you or to your loved ones, people that you don't even know, people that you just envy for reasons you can't even logically explain, people that may have disappointed you, people that may have accidentally hurt your feelings and you and your pride and might not even know. They might not even be aware that they have hurt you. Please let me warn you that you are playing with a very serious, unforgiving and consuming fire. In other words, those intentions, those thoughts, those pictures and images are mind consuming, meaning they will destroy your life. They will destroy your happiness. They will make your life even more miserable than your object of hate and hurt and revenge. Remember, quite unlike what some of your leaders and religious leaders may tell you or might be teaching you, it is not our nature as natural native earthly humans to hurt and cause hurt to innocent people, but it is an alien or foreign ideology. And as the Bible itself asks the question, and I quote, "Can a man or woman take fire in his bosom or her bosom and his clothes not burnt?" Unquote. Proverbs 6:27. I beg that you please ask yourself that question before you do anything stupid or anything that you can't change once it is done. To this question I will respond by saying, under what is called normal circumstances, the answer is a resounding no. It is very difficult, if not totally impossible. Above all, I would not recommend that you try doing it. I, the mystic philosopher, would strongly suggest that you try forgiveness instead. It's harder, but in the long run, it's much better. So don't try to hurt people unnecessarily. Next is the word meaning. Now, I must admit that the word meaning in the English language, especially if you are a deep thinker and a philosopher, the word meaning is the most difficult word to know the meaning of, period. However, from my perspective, the word meaning in this sense is the truth. For only the creator, who is also the speaker, knows the truth of his or her intentions. The truth of his or her thoughts, images, pictures, or information that are in his or her tent. This is also known as the intended meaning. And this is how we are able to lie and deceive and mislead each other with our words, or with the words we use by deliberately and knowingly not saying what we truly mean. And that is what some, if not all, politicians, preachers, and cons do. They never say what they truly mean, especially to those who know and understand their language, and rarely do they do what they say. Sometimes they will say what they truly mean, but only to those that they know do not know and understand their language. In fact, most prominent politicians are lawyers, and as such, they can speak in at least two versions of the slave master's English language. The legal version, or what I call the evil, plain, or regular version. Rather, the civil, not evil, or what I call the civil, plain, or the regular version of the language. Next is the word interpretation. Interpretation is not for the speaker, because unless the speaker is a reflector, a mimic, a satellite, a repeater, a regurgitator, and not an independent thinker and creator of his or her own ideas and thoughts, then he or she already knows what is in his or her mind. But interpretation is for the hearer, the listener. It is the thoughts, images, or pictures that are created in the hearer's or listener's mind and understanding upon hearing or listening to the speaker. And this is all done through the power of the spoken words. So here again, we can also see the importance of using the right words to say what we mean, so that the right images can be created in the minds of the intended listeners and hearers. Some of you, no doubt, may have listened to me speak before about the importance of the words, the tone, and the language that we use when speaking and teaching our children, and particularly the names that we call them. Please don't take it for granted. Now, arguably, and sometimes in gross ignorance of the racist and discriminatory ideologies that are enveloped in the phrase, one may say, or one may refer to an individual or to people of African ancestry as having dark skin or even black skin. Arguably, of course, because this is not something that I, the mystic philosopher, in the least endorsed, encouraged, subscribed to in any way. But I will explain much more on that in another video. However, upon knowing the meaning of the word black as defined by the English dictionaries, then logic, honest reasoning, careful analysis, coupled with basic common sense, will deduce that the following two statements, or the following two sentences, or the following two complete thoughts, when expressed in words using the English language, does not have the same meaning. Sentence number 1. John is a black-skinned man. And sentence number 2. John is a black man. From my perspective, these two sentences are not the same, nor do they have the same meaning. They are two different sentences that are hereby expressing two different complete thoughts. And as such, they are creating at least two different images or pictures in the minds of the hearers and the interpreters. However, the thing that they both have in common is the word black, which is quite unfortunate for John, for black does not represent or means anything that is good in the English language. And upon much closer scrutiny and critical analysis, you too may see that both sentences are racist, denigrating, and discriminatory. One sentence is straight up saying John's skin is ugly, and the other sentence is saying John is an evil man, among many other bad things. Does that sound crazy? Then I will prove it to you. Just have a dictionary handy. Now, this is the end of video 10, so please switch to video 11 now or at your convenience, and join me for the continuation of this presentation titled The Ignorance of White and Black Supremacy Exposed.